Greetings, mortals. Tonight we are here to build a world. This region that we are going to be creating over the next few streams is called Fallen Foothills. I think I want to develop a few locations or places within the Fallen Foothills. The Cracked Giant, the Arm Marsh, the Lonely Circle, the Spire. Yeah, gotta keep that one. The Spire. Village of the Silver Knight. We need one more place name, and then we'll move on to developing the history of the Fallen Foothills. The Golden Finger. Thoughts? Kinda hate it. I'm gonna roll one more location before I put that in stone. City of the Grim Devil? I'm keeping that one, absolutely. Now, we are going to go on to creating the history, and we are going to do so using a loose interpretation of the rules of Ben Robbins' Microscope. We are going to be playing Microscope, but using this absolutely incredible website made specifically for playing Microscope online called Utgar's Chronicles. And we're gonna start developing a history. I'm gonna make our first focus, and that's gonna be kind of our statement about this world. Humanity struggles in a brutal world against brutal enemies greater than them. I'm defining this as a focus, so I know where it's going to be, but that's not actually our first focus. That's just our main idea. Now we need to decide on a beginning and an end point. So I think that our beginning period is humanity crosses the shattered peaks and begins settling the Fallen Foothills. Now we need to come up with an end period. Karkolish, the Grim Devil, brings darkness to the foothills. Palette. That's another part of the first pass. We have to establish what we want and what we don't want. Intelligent, non-human, mortal races. I'm gonna add that to the no column. I'm gonna add gunpowder, because the vibes are just better. More medieval. You know, more chivalrous and more brutal. You know what, I am gonna add in the yes column, magic weapons. Let's get into the history. We've been waiting long enough. Our first focus is going to be hardships of the new settlers. Oh, I am gonna do a first pass and do a couple things that aren't related to any focuses. So I'm going to add event to the Karkolish the Grim Devil brings darkness to the foothills. Karkolish slays humanity's chosen heroes, including the Silver Knight. I'm imagining this kind of build-up of heroes going to fight the Grim Devil and failing. And that is where the heroes, who are your player characters, have to come in and solve that problem of this tyrant who has defeated the heroes of the land. And so you now must rise to the occasion and become the new heroes. I want to prime this for adventure. Are there humans already here? Or are these the first humans to come to an unsettled land? I'm gonna ask my oracle that. 42, yes, there were humans here first. Ooh, that's interesting. What are these original humans like? But yeah, let's come up with a name for both of our groups of humans, because they're the settlers. Where are they from? Maybe Cyturka? So for the humans who are already here, let's generate a name. Manarme? Ooh, Manarme's good. And then they can be called Manarmen. The Fallen Foothills of Manarme. Perhaps Karkolish is a Manarmen. That is an interesting question. What about the Fallen Foothills is fallen? I think that it's going to be the people. I think that the Manarmen are fallen. There's something wrong with them. They are monstrous, corrupted in some way. I'm gonna add an event in the first period. The Cyturkans' first attempt at diplomacy with the local Manarmen ends in a slaughter of the settlers. The Manarmen do not take kindly to them. What other hardships did the new settlers face? I'm gonna add an event and say a group of Cyturkan foragers are caught and dragged beneath the Arm Marsh, because that's a cool place that we have generated the name for. Now let's go on to the next focus. The war to establish a Cyturkan colony at the base of the mountains. I'm gonna make a new period that's exactly that, so I'm just gonna copy and paste. I think that's a dark period. Because if the Cyturkan settlers came over the mountains and they interacted with the Manarmen, and the Manarmen weren't a fan, the Manarmen killed some of the settlers, then it would make sense that they would have to fight tooth and claw to establish a place to call their own on this side of the mountains. And that's probably why they're still in the foothills at the end of this history, because the Cyturkan settlers have not found allies in this unfortunate land. What event would happen in the war? Well, let's just come up with a battle, right? A Cyturkan assault on the spire ends in bloody defeat for the settlers, caught unawares by, I'm gonna say, the monsters held within, because that's cool. I think the Cyturkans, they've got to have a strong sense of community, right? Because they're settlers who cross the mountains into this new strange land, and they have to band together to survive, because literally everyone here wants them dead. Ooh, maybe they don't at first. Maybe they're not all bound together. The Silver Knight unites the disparate Cyturkan tribes and leads a consolidated army against the Manarman city of Mammonkor. The city of Mammonkor is sacked and burned down to rubble. Or not just burned, razed. Razed is a good word. I like that. I think there's got to be a new period. I think there's got to be a period in between here, right? Let's make our focus the Silver Knight. A brief peace following the war for the Cyturkan colony. That's another period. I'm going to add an event in this period. The Silver Knight gives up his leadership after the war is won, leading to a power struggle between the tribes. Because the Silver Knight, I'm thinking he's like a true hero, you know? He realizes that the only way they're gonna win this war is together, and so he goes on this, I don't know, campaign almost to unite all the tribes of the Cyturkans. And he gets them all together, and then he leads them as this kind of military leader. I don't know, he might even be a dictator, right? If he's given that full control, the commander-in-chief kind of deal. But after the war, he does what George Washington tried to do, right? Or ostensibly, according to the history books. He didn't want to be president. They basically made him. But the Silver Knight, he actually does give up that position of leadership. He doesn't want to have that responsibility of ruling everybody now that there's not a war to win. You know, that was his goal. And now that it is completed, he doesn't really want to have that authority over people. He doesn't want that power, and he doesn't want that headache, to be honest. I'm gonna add an event here. Gayandrim, a legendary Cyturkan archer, tracks down the Silver Knight and persuades him out of hiding to confront the Grim Devil. I'm imagining that Gayandrim is another, like, member of that party that goes up against the Grim Devil and fails at the end of this history. Alright, let's do one more focus. It's going to be the Cyturkan tribes. I'm gonna add an event in this one. Clan Stormforge, a Cyturkan tribe, figures out how to forge magical weapons that allow Cyturkans to slay the monsters of this new land. The Humble Hook tribe. We'll go with that. What did they do? They're shepherds, sounds like. Like a shepherd's crook, I'm imagining, as the Humble Hook. The Humble Hook tribe domesticates the giant mountain goats they encounter in the foothills. Well, this history is shaping up. I think it still needs some work, for sure. We need to learn a little bit more about what has happened. But that's a heck of a start. Thank you for joining me, mortals. We developed the Fallen Foothills of Manarme, and we are going to continue developing it next week on stream. Make sure, if you have not, you subscribe to more TTSB so you don't miss the next stream. Thank you for being here with us. If you have any suggestions for what you want to see me do in the future with world building, any ideas you have for the world, feel free to comment those. I would love to see them. And with that, I bid you adieu, and good night, mortals.